Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And throughout this week, I'm doing trivia reviews for the entire Final Destination film series. Today I'm doing the 2006 film Final Destination 3. Here is your trivia question for today. What prize does Frankie Cheeks win at the amusement park? The answer will be at the end of this episode. So, in the film Final Destination 3, we meet two sets of couples that are heading off to the amusement park to go have some fun. After some convincing, they all decide to go for a ride on the Devil's Flight roller coaster. Right before it's about to start, though, Wendy ends up having a premonition about a horrible tragedy that will happen with the roller coaster. Wendy starts freaking out, which causes the people running the ride to open up some of the seats. That in turn then causes a fight between some of the characters, and all of those people end up getting kicked out. Unfortunately, though, not everyone is let out, so once the coaster starts going, it does end up in that horrible tragedy. The survivors, of course, are saddened by the passing of their friends, but that sadness will quickly have to move to panic as death seems to still be out to get them. This time around, though, thanks to Wendy taking some pictures throughout the events at the amusement park, they might have some clues in figuring out how to stop what's happening to them. Now, of course, the real question becomes, can they figure out all of the clues before death gets each and every one of them? The director and co-writer for this film was James Wong, who also was the director and co-writer of the first Final Destination. Before settling on the title Final Destination 3, there were two other possibilities: Cheating Death, Final Destination 3, and Final Destination 3D, as they were thinking about doing that for this film, but saved it for the fourth one. When it came to casting, Wendy was originally supposed to be a perky blonde type. Mary Elizabeth Winstead impressed them so much that they altered the look and style of the character. Tony Todd does return for this film, but not as William Bloodworth. He actually is the voice for the devil at the roller coaster entrance, and the speaker's voice for the subway that says, "This is the end of the line." The actor Texas Battle plays the character of Lewis. That's right, you heard me correctly. This actor's name is Texas Battle. Apparently, he kept ad-libbing the word fuck, so they actually had to do so many takes every time he was in a scene. In the original script, Ashley and Ashlyn were going to be twins. Alex Johnson, who played the character of Erin, broke her nose during filming. You might find this interesting. Amanda Crew originally tried out for the role of Erin, and Alex Johnson originally tried out for the role of Julie. Another funny thing is we almost had a high school musical reunion, as Vanessa Hudgens tried out for the character of Julie, and Ashley Tisdale tried out for the role of Erin. Chris Lemche, who plays Ian, had to take forklift driving lessons for 2 days to learn how to drive one for the movie. Also, as you probably noticed, Ian's last name, the name of the school, and the name of the town are all McKinley. This is specifically a reference to President William McKinley, who was assassinated. Now, just like the previous Final Destination films, a lot of the characters' last names are actually references to directors of horror films, like Wendy and Julie Christensen, named for Benjamin Christensen, Jason Wise, named after Robert Wise, Carrie Dreyer, named after Carl Theodore Dreyer. But what's interesting about this is in the first film, there's a character named Blake Dreyer. I'm wondering if they're related. Ashley Freund, named after Carl Freund, Ashlyn Halperin, named after Victor Halperin, Louis Romero, named for George A. Romero, and Aaron Ulmer, named for Edgar G. Ulmer. The cast and crew of this film had to ride the roller coaster 26 times on the same night. The Devil's Flight is not actually a real roller coaster, and a good majority of what we see in the film is CGI. But in the real scenes where they're using a real coaster, it's the corkscrew from Playland in Vancouver. Also, in the original script, it was not called The Devil's Flight, but was The Blunderbore. I'm really glad they changed that. The two actresses in the tanning booth scene do get topless, so they actually made sure it was a closed set with only the actresses, the director, and the camera operator. The store used in the film was a real home improvement store. As they went along, they had to re-put stuff back up on the shelf and face labels away, as they obviously didn't have the rights for all of those. There were also some fake brands that showed up as well. It took 20 takes to have the tools fall in just the right way to make it look like the forklift was working on accident. The key for the forklift does have Unit 081 on it, which backwards is 180, which is the infamous number used throughout this series. In the second film, there's a truck that says Heis Pale Ale. This is actually a brand that would continue to show up throughout the series. In this movie, another Heis Pale Ale truck backs up into Wendy and Kevin, trapping them. The name, by the way, comes from Freddie Heiss, the stunt coordinator from the second film. Speaking of stunt team members, Dustin Brooks and Colin Decker invented a protective fire gel that was used for the tanning bed scene. They subsequently were awarded an Academy Award for scientific and technical achievement, as this actually allowed performers to be safely burned without injury for at least a little bit. In 2010, they even broke a Guinness World Record. The original script ended after the tricentennial, but that tested poorly with test audiences. A new ending was written with Wendy, Kevin, and Julie on the subway. But in the original version, Kimberly and Thomas from the second film would also show up. It would then be revealed that Wendy, Julie, and Kimberly were cousins. Then death would come for all five of them, being able to take them all out at once. Kimberly and Thomas were eventually taken out of this as one of the actors was not available for filming, so since they couldn't have everyone there, they just decided to scrap it. However, though, in the film's special features, the fates of Kimberly and Thomas are revealed. For some reason, they were in a hardware store when a Camaro that eerily looked like Evan's from the second film rolled down a hill, crashed into the store, trapping them inside. They tried escaping out the back, but wound up in a wood chipper that belonged to Roger Gibbons, the father of Brian Gibbons, who also died in the second film. The body count for this film is 29. 7 people on the initial roller coaster ride, 7 of the survivors, and then 15 people on the subway that includes the main characters. This movie was filmed in Vancouver and New Westminster, British Columbia, Canada. So when it comes to the film Final Destination 3, I enjoy this one quite a bit, and just as much as I did the first and second one. I like the story, I think it's some crazy, very interesting deaths that happen in this one, and I honestly do think some of the acting was a little bit better in this one. So I'm giving this film a 4 out of 5. And if you enjoyed it, other movies I recommend checking out are Stay Alive, House of Wax, Dark Ride, and Hellfest. Now it's time to answer the trivia question from the beginning of this episode. What prize does Frankie Cheeks win at the amusement park? Since Frankie is quite the pervert in this film, he is very happy with winning a necklace that has a symbol of the mudflap sexy girl. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews, and keep an eye out as I'm going to continue going through the Final Destination series with trivia reviews for the rest of this week.